Welcome. This video tutorial is to explain the Nutrition 100 Diet Analysis Project. If you're a student in the course, you would log into Angel. Under the Lessons tab, find the folder named Diet Analysis Project, Parts 1 through 5. This is where you'll find all instructions, documents to be turned in, due dates, and drop boxes for all 5 parts of this project. And underneath here, you can see the project is broken down into 5 parts with specific due dates throughout the semester. Today, I'd like to start with DAP Part 1. You'll notice in this particular semester, the due date is listed here. Clicking on DAP Part 1 folder, tracking your diet and entering foods into Super Tracker is the main part to get started with Part 1. So as I've mentioned before in class, you're going to be using the website supertracker.usda.gov. And if you haven't done so already, you want to create a profile. So if you haven't done that, that's your first step. If you flip back to Angel, there is a folder here, or excuse me, a file with some screenshots and a tutorial on how to set up your Super Tracker profile. It is very, very simple. I've already done so, so I'm going to simply use the login that I created when I initially set up my profile. So whatever you set up your username and password to be, please make note of it somewhere so that you can continue to log back into the site as often as you may need. You will be frequently visiting the Super Tracker website to look up reports, your diet, etc. So you want to make sure you remember that password or have your computer save it, your computer browser save it for you. Okay, so just a quick look at Super Tracker here. It's a pretty easy to use website. The main tab that you're going to use is track food and activity, though you won't be tracking physical activity. So really food tracker is the biggest area in this site that you're going to be using. And this is where once you've recorded your food and beverage intake for the 2-day period, this is where you will enter your food. So we'll come back to this in a moment. Not to get too far ahead, I would like to at least take a look at the project instructions, which you see here is the second file down, to actually explain what this project is, why you're doing it, and go from there. Okay, so if you were to open that instruction file, it would look like this. Okay, so the diet analysis project instructions here are sort of broken down into a checklist. The overview here, the purpose of the project, why we have you do it. One of the things this course is for is to improve your overall health and nutrition. So one of the things that this project allows you to do is better analyze your own dietary intake and compare it to standards such as dietary guidelines, dietary reference intakes, or in other words, standards of nutritional adequacy. And from that, be able to look and see where you can make improvements in order to better your health. Okay? Students generally find this project very useful in identifying areas where they can do better in terms of dietary intake. So procedures, how do you get started with part 1? As I mentioned, you do need to create your own Super Tracker profile. I showed you the site there a moment ago. You'll need to create your profile and set up your username and password. And then at any time, you can begin, second step here, begin recording your food and beverage intake for a 2-day period. You should record your diet ideally for 1 weekday and 1 weekend day, meaning Saturday or Sunday. Please make note of the dates that you do this. You'll want to enter them into Super Tracker using those dates. And the way in which you monitor and record your food and beverage intake over the course of this 2-day period is really up to you. If you want to carry a little notebook with you and write down what you've consumed, all of our smartphones have note-taking apps. So if you want to journal your food and beverage intake by simply creating a note in your smartphone, that could be a very easy way to do it. Maybe you already use a particular diet app. MyFitnessPal is very popular. If that's something that you use to already record your food intake, that will be a way to do it as well, though you will still need to use Super Tracker for the analysis part. So the point here is you need to be very detailed in writing down all the foods and beverages that you take in for the 2-day period. Okay? Note that the 2 days that you're recording do not have to be consecutive. You could record your intake on a Wednesday and a Sunday if you wish, as long as you're doing it, of course, ahead of the due date. Okay? It's important that you eat as you normally would for this assignment. You are in no way judged based on quality of your diet. Do not change your usual eating habits to look good or look like you're eating more nutritiously than you might have, this assignment will be most meaningful if you're really honest about what you eat, and then you can really see where you need to improve. So quality is not the point here, but rather being very accurate and very thorough about what you're recording. That will give you the best and most specific analysis. So estimating portion or serving sizes of the foods and beverages you consume is very important. There are some resources here to help you, and they're very similar to what we'll be looking at in class today to help you estimate or eyeball serving sizes, or excuse me, portion sizes that you're actually consuming. So you can choose to do this one of two ways. You can enter foods into SuperTracker several times a day as you go through your meals, or you can tally the 2-day period up with a note tracking app or notepad and then go and enter everything into SuperTracker. It really doesn't matter. It's a matter of personal preference. But in any case, you need to enter all foods and beverages from that 2-day period into SuperTracker. Okay, this is where you're going to be using the food tracker portion of SuperTracker. Okay, so it's very simple. You know, if you want to add your first food, say oatmeal, you can either select some items from the drop down, or you can simply hit go and it'll bring up many items. You can see 66 results here for oatmeal. So you want to pick the one that's most likened to what you've eaten. So if it's an instant plain oatmeal, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It will then ask you to choose an amount. If it's a packet, if it's 2 cups, you know, whatever it might be, the breakfast meal that you had it at, or whatever meal, and then simply add it to your food tracker. The nice thing is over here, you can watch each of the food groups, whole grains, vegetables, fruits, dairy, protein foods, on the bar graph change as you add food. So it's nice to watch how you're meeting your percentages of target for each of those groups. You can also see your daily limits change as you add those items, which can be nice and interactive as well. So you need to do this for every food that you consume and every beverage that you consume besides just plain water. Okay. There are some hints here. I'm pointing to the directions document again to help you be very specific. Please don't forget to include little extras describing foods as thoroughly as possible, like not just milk, but what percent, 2%, 1% skim. You know, if you've had yogurt or cottage cheese, was it full fat, low fat? Any little bit of detail you can provide will make a more accurate analysis. You want to describe method of food preparation to better find the food in the database, whether it's baked chicken, was it fried, was it broiled, etc. If you have the time to use measuring cups and spoons while this 2-day period is going on, that will make a very accurate analysis. Also brand names, sometimes SuperTracker will recognize, you know, Jif peanut butter or Skippy peanut butter or anything, or sometimes brand names like Wendy's or Taco Bell. Not all of them, but it will do some. So if you have a brand name, you could try it and see what the database comes up with. Other little extras like sugar, berries, cereal, butters, condiments, mayonnaise, that kind of thing, cream in your coffee are easy to forget about. Include those as best you can. When you write or type into SuperTracker a food item, try to refrain from using one piece. That doesn't really specify quantity very well. There's some other items here. Combination foods can be difficult, but you can search in the database and find the closest item. Couple of other things here. Any vitamin and mineral supplements that you consume do not enter into SuperTracker. You can make note of them in the project worksheet, but you will not enter them. We want to see how you're doing without extra added help from a vitamin or mineral. And please also remember, again, any beverage besides plain water should be recorded. So alcoholic beverages you should consume. They're a significant caloric part of your intake if you consume them, and they should be accounted for. The bottom line with entering foods into SuperTracker is trying to be as specific as possible with the type of food, the way it was prepared, little extras that might have been added, and the amount that you consumed. Okay. That being said, the database isn't perfect. You won't find an exact match to everything. When that trouble comes up, just simply select the closest item you can find. Okay. So once you've done that, the next step is just using the My Reports view for that you find in SuperTracker, and this is how you generate reports to view the analysis of your 2-day diet that you entered. You can do some reports as you can generate them individually, or as a combined report for the 2-day period. And depending on the project that you're working on, part 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, there will be instructions on exactly what reports you need to submit, whether they need to be done individually for day 1 and day 2, or a combined report will suit. So these are some things you want to investigate and make sure you know how to use the reports feature on Super Tracker. Okay, so I haven't entered any foods in a while, but the My Reports feature is here at the top, and it can give you an overview of each of the reports, and I will very clearly state in the project instructions whether I want a food group and calories report or a nutrient report or both, so you want to be very careful. Students tend to lose points here by not submitting the correct report. But you can see here, for example, the food groups and calories report. If you tracked your diet September 15th, I'm sorry, September 1st, and then you track it again on, I don't know, the 11th tomorrow. You could track a combined report by entering the first day and the last day, or day 1 and day 2, and then simply hit create report. I'm not going to hit that because I don't have any data in these periods. When that report generates, what you want to notice here is the feature where you can export report as PDF, Excel, or Word. We prefer the reports to be submitted, exported into PDF file, saved to your computer, and upload to the Angel Dropbox. You can use all 3 if you want, or any of these 3, but we do prefer the PDF format. Okay. All right, so once you've done that, there's one more thing for part 1, which is completing the part 1 document. Okay, and you can find that here as the 3rd file down on Angel. I think I already have this open. Yes, I do. Okay. It looks like this. This is what you're going to actually submit in the Project 1 DAP Part 1 Dropbox. Gives you a checklist here just to make sure you've done everything correctly. The reports you need for this project are outlined in the instructions here. Okay. You need the food groups and calories report for each day, 1 and 2. Okay. And then a combined food groups and calories report. Okay, so that's 3 reports there so far. And then you need the meal summary report for both day 1 and day 2 combined. So that's a 4th report. You will be submitting this Word document completed plus 4 reports from Super Tracker for part 1. While you're completing the project, you need to finish up the questions, the reflection questions down here at the bottom. So that means writing down the values for each day, total calories, empty calories, solid fats, etc. from your report. You can look at the food groups and calories report for this one. Entering yes or no, are these 2 days typical for you? What eating habits might you have missed? You can simply write none if you feel that's the case, or elaborate if need be. Okay. Evaluate your total calories, or the numbers within 10% of the target set by Super Tracker. So you can see on Super Tracker, if I were to go to my profile, Super Tracker for me sets a daily caloric allowance at 2,000. So I want to compare that to how much I actually consumed based on the food groups and calories report. And so if I consume 2,500 calories, is that within 10% of the target? No. Okay, you want to record whether you're okay over or under, looking at the status column of the food groups and calories report for empty calories, and then answer one of the 2 scenarios here based on what you found. Okay, that's it. You need to complete this, save it, upload it to the Angel Dropbox, which depending what team you are, you'll only see 1 box. Okay, so you simply click there, attach your document and the 4 reports that I was asking for in the project instructions. Okay. I'm not going to go into detail about the last 3 parts of the project, or excuse me, the last 4 parts, but the point that is important to remember is when you start part 2, you are not tracking your diet again. You're using the same 2-day diet analysis that you've already entered for part 1 and simply reflecting back on the same information, looking at various reports again to answer questions about the carbohydrates and fiber in your diet, the fats in your diet, part 4 regarding energy balance, part 5 regarding micronutrients in your diet. So again, you're not tracking your diet ever again after the first time. You're just simply reflecting back on that analysis data. If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you.